Hi, welcome back to video number 2 in our Africa map series. We're just getting into the continent of Africa on your map, and the last video we did the compass rose, and we're going to finish off the one in the front right now. Okay, and then we'll ease into the map a little bit today. Now, if you can see how I've colored the compass rose. I just took a little time to color it in. You can do any patterns you want of color, but let's just do the directions real quick, just like we did on the back. North, south, west, east. Those are your cardinal directions. Northeast, between the north and the east. Northeast, between the south and the east would be southeast. Over here, between south and west, southwest. And northwest. We've got all these dots to contend with, but we can just write over those. I'll explain what those dots are in a minute. Okay, so there you have a compass rose, and we'll be able to reference any directions that we have to when we're doing the map. I'm going to take a yellow next, because what I want to do is highlight some surrounding bodies of water that surround the continent of Africa. And I'd like to start over on the west. To the west, we have the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, and it's already labeled on this map, so all you have to do is highlight it. It's a little hard to see if you don't highlight it. That'll really make it stand out. Okay. We all know that about 3/4 of the Earth is covered in water. You can see on this little globe I have here. Only about 1/4 of the whole planet is land, and the rest is ocean. So we're going to show another ocean on this map too, the Indian Ocean. Okay. Now we've got to the north, we have the Mediterranean Sea. And this is a body of water that lies between Africa and the continent of Europe. This is there's one little narrow area where where Europe almost touches Africa. And I'm actually just going to sketch a little part of a peninsula of the country of Spain. I'm just going to put that in there like that. And that's going to show that little opening from the Atlantic going into the Mediterranean. They call that the Strait of Gibraltar. So at some point, maybe we could label it right now. S-T-R. Now check the spelling on this. It's A-I-T. A strait is a body of water between two land areas. Okay. Strait of Gibraltar. G-I-B-R-A-L. I believe it's T-E-R. I'll check that spelling in my atlas later just to make sure. I want you to highlight that too. Okay, and that leads into the Mediterranean. Okay. Over here we have well, we said the Indian Ocean, and then if you follow it up, you've got the Red Sea, which is the area of water between Africa and the Arabian Peninsula, which doesn't really show up on this map. But you can look at a world map to see how it's not a very wide sea. It's pretty narrow before you. You could even, maybe at some point we'll even draw that little coastline of the Arabian Peninsula, but for now we'll just leave it the way it is. Okay, now there's also a body of water here between Madagascar, the island of Madagascar, and the continent, which I believe this is Mozambique, this country right here, and they call that the Mozambique Channel. I'm going to highlight that also. Now you see the dots. All of these dots represent the water surrounding the continent, the coastline. I highlighted it with a dotted area. Now there are some areas where we don't want to color right away because we're going to be labeling these countries. You can see the area for the names of the countries kind of runs through that coastline water. So I don't want to color the whole coastline right now, but there are certain parts where you could color in, and I think we could practice with Madagascar. Let's take our blue and just very carefully and lightly, wherever you see the dots, that's a good way to highlight the water, which is kind of going around the coastline. It's a good one to practice. I notice I'm not going too dark. Just a nice light touch. Some of the coastline is very smooth along the eastern side of the island, but you notice that the northwest is kind of a jagged coastline, so you've got to be a little more careful getting into those little inlets and bays and coves and whatnot. This is good practice. You're going to be doing a lot of coloring of coastline, especially. Well, this whole map will have a lot of color on it when it's done. By the time we color in the countries and some of the physical features too. All right, so I just kind of surrounded that island to show that there's water all around. That's all you need. You don't have to color the whole paper blue. Just that little edging is sufficient. And I always say go over it a second time just to give it a little bit of a more finished look. You don't want any white areas showing through. You want a nice solid blue. Try to stay along the water side of the coastline. Sometimes it's easy to cross into the land. You don't want to do that. Okay, let me just think if there's anything else on this map. Well, we'll be getting into the lakes pretty soon, but let me just, for fun, I'll just color this lake right here, just to show you how we'll be doing the inland water as well. Okay, so I think that's a good place to stop for now. Okay, and we'll be coloring more coastline as we go, but it's probably better that we start labeling some of the countries first, and that way our blue won't interfere with our lettering. Okay, well, that's a good kind of an intro into the map, and we'll get going again in the next video. All right, thank you.